keep it between. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, do you want me to repeat it again? Okay, I'll quickly go through it. So we
I
are
think
discussing. Sorry.
yeah, you can give a brief on that because
Yeah,
Shabi
sure.
asked to record it. Sure.
No worries. Yeah. So we will be discussing Instagram system design today, and I'll be following most of it what was from the Grokking, and not much other than that, but we can add for the later sessions. And so I started with the basic thing because usually system design we follow pattern. We first go with the requirements. So it's better because when we are saying requirements, it means like in an interview position, what we do is we start discussing with the interviewer and try to get the more of it, because anytime system design starts with just designing something, okay, and then we need to understand what something is, right? So when it said something like Instagram, okay, so what actually is required to be for this particular session? So I started with saying, okay, there's nothing on the other side. If you guys can always chime in and say, okay, this we can also add this and all that stuff, right? But for now, I'll start the way I thought about it. So functional requirements, what I would say is, as user can share photos and videos, so that will be one requirement. But I'll be more focused on the photo side, not on the videos. And then the second would be like the news feed. So whenever a user logs in, or whenever your user wants to look at what the news feed is, he should be able to see it. And what news feed it is, it based on whatever the follower is following. So whatever the followers are posting this, sharing that picture, they should be he should be able to see them, right? So, and the other will be the requirement, the user is following other users. And the fourth requirement, what I was thinking about user performing searches on the photos or videos, and looking for searching for that specific photo and all that. But we'll keep that as P2. Maybe that won't we'll be able to cover in this session. So now if you look for the non-functional, so I'll just write non-functional, right? Okay, so what will be the non-functional and what will be uh, the most important non-functional requirement in this case? So the way I look at it is, it should be this service or the system, whatever we call it, it should be highly available, right? So why I say highly available, and the way I thought about it is, if it is highly available means it should be very responsive, right? So as soon as I log in or I just click on the app, I should be able to see it as fast. If I'm able to see it, the news feed is coming very quickly, so it is good because the user experience is much better, right? So when the user experience is much better, so it means the response time is quicker, so the latency is good, and the latency improves only because if we have our services well replicated and all that stuff. So if you go in that route, so therefore I would say it is highly, the service should be highly available, right? So the second would be, we could take a hit on consistency in that case based on the CAP theorem, correct? Consistency can be something like a bit late, okay? Take a hit in the sense like, if a user shares a photo and his follower is not able to see the photo within next few seconds, it's still fine, okay? So that is what I'm saying about consistency can take a hit. And as I said, the latency should be good in this case, right? So we should have some better latency, okay? So when I say latency, we can add some numbers, okay? So, and frankly, I would say any latency or any response which is lesser than second is good, but still not almost a second, but maybe like half a second or so. Okay, so I would add any numbers there, but latency should be uh, okay, maybe acceptable, right? So maybe like 500 milliseconds, something like that. I'm not sure, but I'm just putting some numbers there, right? So whenever a user wants to see his newsfeed, he sees it quickly. So it is more user experience. It impacts the user experience, right? Therefore, the user would like to come to the app always. Okay, so it would be a good way. And the fourth would be the reliability side. Okay, so system should be reliable or maybe durable, right? Or whatever we can call.
Question, Santosh. So these non-functional requirements will be kind of, I'm talking about the interview perspective, will they be already told to us, or we
No, no,
can?
no, no, no. I am actually thinking loud. I don't think so. They will say, but it will be a good to put them in. And so also now when I'm putting it, so I'm also discussing with the interview, right? So interview can actually come and say, oh no, this is not right.
Yeah.
Correct. So
Yeah.
that is the reason I'm putting it. So you guys also can come and tell me, okay, this is not right, you know.
So
So that is
when
the
you
reason
say,
I'm putting it. Mhm.
yes,
Go
so
ahead.
when you say on a non-functional requirement, consistency can take a hit. What kind of hit we are talking about here?
Well, as I said, suppose if one user shares this photo and the other user, when in his newsfeed, he doesn't see it quickly, the time when he shares. Okay, if he sees after some time, like 5-10 seconds, that is fine. We don't want to have very strong consistency there.
So if I would assume that if I am posting something, I should definitely see it on my news feed, right?
Right.
Yes, yes. But if
But
it's a distributed system, there would be many databases like geographically distributed or something. So maybe I'm connected to another one. So if I see it after a few seconds, it syncs up after a few seconds. So it's not an issue.
No,
Since
yeah.
it's
If
just a
you,
photo.
as a person who follows me, sees it after a few seconds, that is fine. But a person who writes it should be able to read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is not with the consistency will be. The consistency will be for me seeing others' photo,
Got it.
and I get a hit on that. That is fine.
Okay.
Because when I'm actually posting a photo, I should be able to see that it is posted properly or not. That is right. Okay.
So like if you're posting from a laptop, then you can see at the same time from the phone, right? I mean, the writer can see it.
Should be, but on WhatsApp, I have seen that not happening.
Okay.
I've
So you mean to
seen-
say the
That
same
is not
device, right?
guaranteed, right? That is not guaranteed because the routing from your phone can be different. Like
Yeah,
network
from
routing
the
is when you
web.
connect to a server.
No, although the database, we can say that region is same, but the routing and load balancing and all that can take time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So therefore, I'm not adding that here. Yeah, that is perfectly right. Okay.
One more question I have is, sorry for interrupting again. So
No worries.
let's say if you have uploaded a photo in the Instagram and I'm opening your page just after you have uploaded it. So there is a chance that I'll not be able to see the latest photo that you uploaded.
Right. That is what I'm saying. Yeah.
So even this comes under eventual consistency, right?
It is eventual consistency. Yeah. But eventually you should be able to see it. Yeah.
Yes. It's not that any person who goes to your page should be able to see the latest news feed. So it depends upon the nearest data center that he is located to, and based on that, he'll be getting the data.
Right.
So it's not consistent among all the people.
Yeah. But the user who has uploaded it must be able to know and understand that he has uploaded it.
Yes. Yeah. So the person who is uploading, at least he should be able to see it. Yeah, that's right. So the other thing what we won't discuss, or maybe will be out of scope, I'll just write it down. In this case, what they say is tags, right? So if we add tags for photos and all that, they won't be there. And then searching, I think searching, we can keep it later. Searching on tags also, you know, that searching on tags and all that, that won't be in scope.
Searching on metadata, right?
Searching on metadata. So tags will go in metadata, no?
Yeah, it's one kind of a metadata, but it can be on the date, time, or whatever is. I mean, the attributes can be anything.
Yeah. So I was actually keeping out the searching completely. Maybe we can take it in some other system design session. Okay. So commenting also on photos and all that, that won't be a part of it. And then, okay, I think these are the ones, and other whatever related with tags and everything. Okay. So now if we try to consider, do some, what is said is like, what will be our sort of design considerations? Okay. So what are the design considerations? Like, what do you guys think about it? Because the way I think is, when we upload a photo, and then it is a very simple system, right?
Just a question here
for
so does capacity and the amount, the size of the photos, all those are non-functional, or Do we
No,
don't
we have
need
to do the calculations, right? So they are not non-functional, but I would say
Constraints.
they are required. Yeah, they are required. We'll have to do that. So at least we will, when we are designing something, then our design should consider all those stuff, right? Okay. So actually, to get there, I was thinking whatever the design considerations are, because what is the system going to be? Is it going to be a read heavy or a write heavy?
I would
And
say read heavy. Yeah.
right, it should be read heavy, because if you are not able to read it, if you are just dumping it, I think there won't be any applications like that, right? That's what I mean. At least it has to be equal. Uh-huh.
No, but my question is, do we have to add capacity as non-functional requirement, or it's just that we can leave that and we can go with the consideration?
Well, no, see, capacity has, but it cannot be a part of any requirements, because we have to do estimation in that case. Now we have requirements, so we have to do estimations, right? So it has nothing to
Right.
do with non-functional, but it is going to impact our design.
What is the maximum size of a photo and how much
Yeah.
user?
Yep.
That
Yeah.
thing I want.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm also confused whether it's non-functional or this is under design, or we can just merge them both if we want. I don't know.
Well,
I
see,
think
yeah, go ahead.
basically we do these estimation calculations for like what kind of DB you want to use, right? Like how many, I mean, what would be the estimation of your DBs? You'll get from the what is the estimation calculation, right? I don't think it falls under functional or non-functional. It's a separate entity entirely, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so we have to write down the requirements, okay, and but the capacity estimations will actually drive our design. That is what I think. Okay, so for going to that, I would say I will do after whatever this design considerations would be. Like one will be, as Shavi said, it could be read heavy, and also most of the time if you upload a photo or image, it takes some time, but reading is more faster, right? So it will be read heavy. So therefore the ratio of write to read will be bigger than one. Write will be more, right? Sorry, yeah, write will be more, the time consumed for that. So therefore it will be read heavy system. And second will be storage, right? Storage is a bit critical here. Why I'm saying it is because we'll have two type of storages, right? One will be storing all the images, and the other will be the metadata, as Balaji said, right? So we'll have two type of storage. One is image, and the other will be metadata.
Sorry, Santosh. So saying read heavy is enough, or we would want to kind of say what will be the ratio of read versus writes and how much per day, or we are gonna do it later?
Well, we will do at least the estimation calculations, but I don't think so. Can we do a ratio calculations? I'm not sure, because initially when you are developing a system, at least you will just go by some considerations. But eventually, when the system is being used heavily, then you will actually do the analysis, right? But at least tentatively, it's going to be read heavy. So this is the way I'm doing it. But I'm not sure whether really it is important to actually do those estimation calculations during this system design. It's a question for all now.
Do you think we should do this estimation before design consideration? Because here the storage critical and what you are storing, that doesn't make sense. That why would we take image and metadata into consideration? So if we are doing the estimation beforehand, then we would know what we are actually going to store and why we would be needing two things to store, image and metadata. So do you think that
we are
would make more
using this consideration? So since it is read heavy, now I have considered this. That's why in my constraints, I will keep a smaller size for the packet or something.
Right, but here it doesn't make sense when we are saying storage critical. It doesn't make sense why we are storing image or why we are storing metadata. So if we once we estimate what should be the size of the picture and what metadata you would be storing for an image, then it would make sense that we would be storing it into two parts, image and metadata, just to reduce the DB size or something.
I don't think there's
Maybe.
any
I'm not sure.
use case where we
No,
don't
but then
store image.
before doing these estimations, shouldn't we find out, like, what will be the data model? Then
Yeah.
only we
Right,
will be able
right.
to decide what will be the size.
Uh,
So for the data
So
model, I
how
think,
how
like,
how
this
are
is
we
kind of
coming
a
to this? I agree,
right. So
but
that is
how
a
are
Well,
we
very
okay.
coming
See,
to
I,
this
what I think
very?
is, design considerations are just it's like what we think now. Okay. So we'll do an estimation. And if we think based on the estimations, something is not working in the design consideration, we can come and revisit. Okay. So
Okay,
it
so
should be
how do we reason for this, that we would be storing two things, image and metadata?
Well, okay.
What
See,
reason?
image is totally different way of storing, right?
So
Metadata is
this
more
is
of a structured
what this
storage.
design is all about. I mean, Instagram is only about the images and the metadata, right?
Yeah.
The comments, images, and metadata. What else, like, do you think we should store?
No, I'm not sure. Like, how do we come to
He's
this
saying, yeah,
conclusion?
Image,
Like,
see,
that's
image,
what.
videos, and all are blob structures, and
Yeah.
database is not for storing the blob structures, right?
Yeah.
Database is for searching, querying, and then doing the transactional stuff.
Yeah.
And there
Right.
won't be any transactional stuff with these images and
Yeah.
all.
So we cannot actually store the image in a structured databases, right? Whatever it
Right.
is. So images have to be stored in differently. So therefore, the image storage is different and the metadata storage is different. So that is, I'm just actually just coming up with the highlights, what the design considerations will be. And as I said, always we'll have a low latency, right?
Image will be in your S3 cloud, right? And you'll have a pointer or link for that.
Something like that, right? Correct. Yeah. So we'll always have a low latency. And the second will be, as we always said, data should be reliable. Okay. So it's almost what we discussed earlier in the NF requirements. They are almost the same here, right? So now if we everyone says about estimation, let's go there. Okay. So now what will be the first estimation we would think about? One and this.
One question I have is, sorry for interrupting again.
No,
What's the meaning of reliability about data?
So reliability, the way I look at it is, suppose if a user uploads a photo, okay, so it should be in the system forever till he doesn't delete it. Okay.
Okay.
He only should delete it.
Durability, right?
So
Yeah,
almost it is the same, no? Reliability and durability.
No, they
They're
are
not.
not the same.
Okay,
No,
so
they are different.
okay. So what the reliability should be then?
Is the reliability persistent storage or what related to?
No, reliability is basically if some part of your system doesn't behave properly, in that case also, like, you should be able to give correct responses. That is reliable.
So, but
That
is it
is
not like that?
against
Suppose
systems.
The reliability is in case of failure, you should still be reliable on the system.
okay.
But
So,
in this case of image, I think reliable and durability are
Yes, so I think in
kind
the
of
same sense, image must not be lost is a reliable image. It's
Yeah.
not going to be lost ever.
yeah, but even if your server goes down, you should be able to show that image. Correct.
Right.
So then
Correct.
you'll have
That
a
is
replication
reliable,
sort of,
yes.
but yeah, okay, yeah, you can say that. But also then the durability, you can say durable will be if you are storing something in the system, it should not be lost. Correct. Okay, no problem. So I think,
it's kind of overlapping in this case.
yeah, it is.
No, something not getting lost is durable, and always available is reliable, correct?
Okay.
So you can make it always available by redundancy, and you can make it not lost by persisting it somewhere.
Okay. So durable will be taken care by persisting it, right?
Yeah, right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just keep it like this, reliable and durable, because anyway, if it's durable, it has to be durable, but it should also be reliable, right? Or else it doesn't make any sense for the user experience. Correct. So
One more thing is, I mean, are replication and redundancy same?
replication and redundancy. They are same, right? But you have to replicate it for a reason.
So basically, it's like To achieve redundancy, we do replication. Is it something like that?
To achieve.
Application to avoid the failure.
redundancy. Yeah, to avoid have a single point of failures, we have
Yeah,
replication.
to have replication.
So that means, yeah. So having redundant servers is basically we're replicating the data. That's the meaning of it, right?
Yeah, you
You
can
can
say
say
that. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So now, if we see the capacity estimation and the figures, what I got from, usually we start with registered users or the total users. So we have something like 15 million users. Okay, which are registered users for Instagram. Second is what are the daily active users, and they say it's coming to around 1 million. Maybe the numbers have changed, but I'll just go with this. And the third will be, so now we are doing estimation, right? So if a user actually uploads 2 photos every day, correct? So this is what the basis of estimation will be on an average. So it's going to be almost 2 million photos uploaded per day. Okay, this will be per day. And now, if we take the total space in this case, if we consider, they say about, say, like 200 KB per photo, right? So in a day, it is going to be, so 2 million multiplied by something like 200 KB, correct? So it comes to around 400 GB, right? So this 400 GB is not a big space, considering all the distributed databases and all
Santosh,
that,
this
right?
2M a day, sorry, I missed it. Is it like 2 million photos
Yeah.
a day? Because
Yeah.
there are 1 million daily active users and all of them will be writing.
Right, right.
Right. So
if-
here we are assuming that all the daily active users, everyone is uploading a photo.
Is uploading on an
Absolutely.
average 2 photos a day. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So that is what it is. So it is coming to 400 GB, and 400 GB is not a big space, right? We have that in most of the laptops also, right? So
Yeah, it's per day, right?
it's
And
per
then
day,
we also
absolutely,
have to keep them for probably forever until the user doesn't probably delete
right.
that.
So
Yeah.
if we say the total space required for 10 years, if we just calculate that space for 10 years, that is what they have calculated here also. So in this case, it's going to be something 400 GB, and then you multiply by 365. Okay. So, and then you multiply by 10. So now this, if you just do this math, it should come around something like something in TB. So approximately it should be like something 1500 TB. So it will be 1.5 petabyte, right? So this will be a total space for 10 years. Okay. So this is the estimation calculations. Okay. So
Should
now,
we also take into consideration the increase in our user base, like 10% year over year or something?
that's a good question. Yeah, but okay. So if we do that, if we have a buffer, okay, 10%, if we consider it's going to be almost 50% after 10 years, or maybe twice. Okay, so we can say 3 PB. I'm not sure if that is
Law of compounding.
yeah. So, but eventually I'm assuming by 10 years, the technology will be more advanced and we should be able to store that much also, right? The storage might
Yeah,
actually
better
improve
compression
more than that.
algorithms.
Right, yeah. So even the hardware might improve and all that. So it's okay.
And,
Uh-huh.
and
Sorry.
also the photos is we have taken it as 200 KB.
Mhm.
So we are greatly reduced the estimation, but
Okay.
it might be in MBs or something like that.
Okay.
And currently, if, Facebook numbers are around petabytes per month itself.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really huge.
So we're
I mean,
underestimating, you are saying, okay.
Yeah, I mean it will be in exabytes or something, maybe even bigger.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we are assuming that these photo sizes are something to do with about 5 years back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No worries. So now at least it is accepting. So maybe after 10 years also we should be able to easily from that. Okay. So
No,
other
no,
than
but
this,
then it should be good.
yeah. So other than this, I think if you look at these estimations for storing the images, this is okay. Correct. So now this is enough with the bare minimum. Now if we go for the very high level design, what we could do, that is what it is said. So this, I'll just go back to my, yeah, sorry, go ahead. Question.
Comments and also you are taking? No, like commenting on photos.
No, I said that will be a no scope, right? Okay, I want to be very simple in this. So now I think my paint is visible, right? Is it visible or not?
Yes.
Yeah, it's visible.
So, so bad. I'm sorry, my tools are not good. I will improve on from tomorrow. So this is okay.
So Santosh, you can use Excalibur for drawing and writing too.
Excalibur.
Yeah,
okay,
so
maybe
that-
I'll try it.
Excalibur.
Or zoom annotate you can use. I mean, if that works.
Okay, for now at least I'll use this. Okay, so this is my if I say if we have one client here, okay, and the other client, I'm just putting these two clients, and then so they will be interacting with my service. Okay, so this will be our service, and this will be our image hosting service, something like that, right? Okay. And this service actually in turn will have a storage. Okay, so this will be our image storage. Okay, I'll just call it image storage here. And also we'll have something like a metadata storage. So two different storages. I just want to differentiate between both of them. And what does the user do is one client will actually upload the photos here, and this guy will actually view them. So it will be, he will be downloading it, and then he will be viewing that. So right. So this is the way this image will always have both ways, and so all of them, right? Yeah. So on a high level, it's going to be like this. It's a single service for upload and download. I know it's not going to be a good one, because when you are uploading, you will take more time than you are downloading. Correct. So that is the way we'll have to again improve on that. So very high level to see with, if you're putting few boxes, that is what they say, you just put the high level boxes, and this is where we can keep on revisiting. So this is single service for now.
This is a microservice.
I have one doubt.
Image microservice.
Yeah, you can see it's a service. So okay. I'm not sure what, because it might be more than that also, right? I'm just imagining that.
Mostly it's a microservice kind of.
So I have one question. We did the estimations and it came out to be around 1.5 petabytes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then why did we do that? I mean, we already know that the image size that is going to be huge, and we will be storing it in S3 or some other blob storage, correct? That will be kind of distributed. So what was the purpose of doing these estimations? I thought doing estimations for the metadata, that would have been helpful, because that will give us a basic idea of whether we should use a NoSQL or a RDBMS or a SQL type database for metadata. And if that, like, if it's too huge, then like we need to go for sharding and things like that.
Perfect.
No?
Yeah, right.
I mean,
so actually,
yeah,
so this is just a very high level estimate. So to see whether we are able to actually manage this storage, right? So because we are more concerned about the image storage, because we know that metadata storage is surely going to be smaller than this, right? So, but if this is going to be really very huge, then we might have to think more about this. But if you look at this, it's going to be 1.5, and as I think Uday also said, right, it's okay. Look at the current scenarios, so we should be able to adjust that. Because if we had something very huge in these estimations, then I think I'm not sure whether we have really some ways to address that issue. So we just wanted to see whether we were able to fit into this, or maybe we'll have to reduce the scope, saying, okay, we are not going to store more than 10 years and all that stuff. I'm just guessing, You can add to that. Anyone can add.
And when we are discussing about estimation, I guess it's important to talk about query per second. Yeah, because maybe it's even more important than space.
Yes.
Because if we know that it's 100 query per second, it could be one design, yeah. But if we know that we need to have 100,000 query per second, yeah, it's could be
Well,
more
okay.
important.
So now if you look at the, okay, if you want to say, you are saying request per second, right?
Yeah,
Or
queries per second.
query
Yeah.
per second, right?
Yeah.
So if we look at this, what are the queries going to be? Actually going to more it will be on the photo side, right?
Yeah, so it's a 2 million per day. So 1 million requests actually boil down to 12 requests per second.
So it'll come to around 12 requests per
24. It's going
24
to be
if there are 2 million
per second.
Yeah, but they are right. There will be read, and we know our system is read heavy, right? So do we want to take like 5 times the read request?
We have 1 million daily active users. We could say that newsfeed we will be, or whatever, they will be viewing only 100 images or something. So we could do that.
So, but see, the 1 million user itself are going to be reading them, right?
Yes, but the request won't be just 1 million, right? The read request can be more. You can open your app 10 times in a day to just see the feed.
But that won't be considered.
It won't be considered a request. Every time I'm pulling the latest from the server, it is a request.
Yeah.
That is a
So I
request.
think
Even though
that
that is
design
fetching
will-
the delta, but still that is a request.
No, but that's a one time you queried and it's already in your cookie or something like that. So I don't think so every time you
No,
but you need to fetch the delta. Suppose
Yeah.
you switched on your app at 5 p.m. but then you switch it again at 10 p.m. So that 5 hours difference, that delta, you still need to fetch.
If anyone in that time has posted who you are following, it will come in your news feed, right?
Okay.
I think this
but
is
can we discuss that during
Yeah.
the newsfeed session? Okay,
this is
we'll go
just
there.
for storage.
This is
Storage
just a storage and then the query per second. So we have this. And if during newsfeed, if we find something, we can revisit the estimation again.
So
Okay.
These queries are read queries or write queries?
Well, this is look like a write, right? You know, because we are
These
saying
are write queries
per days.
So with 24 requests per second, I think this can be handled by a single machine, right?
Yeah. They are smaller, but the read queries will be huge. But it's not going to be just 5. It can be more also, right? 5, not 5 times this. It can be more.
Correct. The
Let's
distribution
take
may be random.
Yeah. So therefore, I don't know what that.
Should we also define the ratio of read and write requests? Just the ratio instead of going into the QPS right now, we can just define it, right? That would make sense, right?
Okay, so if you want to define the ratio of write versus read, or okay, we can see that. But then what are we going to take in the read?
First, we need to know our design is push or pull and everything.
Right.
For image service, this is just.
So I don't know. So how are we going to deal with the write versus read? So
No,
therefore, it will
How
be like
push
if we
versus
have-
pull will like differentiate between my read and write. I mean, what my read and write is, that will always remain the same, be it a push or pull or something else, correct?
Yeah. Okay, we'll come to that later. But okay, see, now let's finish this ratio part. So when we are saying write and read, what I will assume, one, we'll see if I'm reading, I will go and look for my followers or whom I'm following, and that many number of users. Okay, I look for those users data. So if I'm on an average, I'm say following only, I'm allowed to follow maximum 100. Correct. So it will be read will be like 100 times right in that case, correct?
Right, but it depends on the design, right? We can just, otherwise each user is requesting the same image again and again. We will not make a read, right? We'll make some other service for the newsfeed and it will.
Yeah, so but in the worst case, we can say that.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, like if it is 2 million, then it will be 200 million. Okay. So it will be something like 0.001. Okay.
Santosh, I mean, it's a tip for the interview point of view. So always use the ratio, read-write ratio, say like 1 to 10, 1 to 100, and you just get the QPS for one, and you can easily drive the other one.
Okay.
Right. Another thing, since it is a read heavy system that we have mentioned again and again, I don't think the ratio should be 1:100. It would be more than that, much more than that.
And based on what we are saying, the read heavy, because I do see that in the design consideration, we already actually announced that it's a read heavy system. What was the basis to call it read heavy system?
Exactly.
most of the social medias are read heavy only, right? Right. I mean,
but then
It makes sense, you know,
Because
because if you are just
content creators
uploading,
are very less.
yeah, because
yeah,
if you are
even if
uploading,
it is
someone has
read
to
heavy, I
do it.
think it should be 1:1000 or 10,000 or something like that. That's when we actually mention it is read heavy. 1:100 is not actually read heavy, right?
So do we have someone read, like, is there some document that says when a system is considered read heavy? Is 1 to 100 does not qualify to be a read heavy?
But if you look at the ratio, it is right. So, but
It
what
will
she's saying is how intense it is.
based on read write, you can call it. If write is less than read, so you can call it read heavy. It does not mean that it should be some beyond some certain limit.
Yeah, but
Okay, got it.
but business wise, it seems like if it is more number of the ratio is higher, it is always
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So for
absolutely.
me, it's
I agree.
fine. We are doing 1 to 100. It's read heavy.
It's not
It's
bad.
okay.
Yeah, for our design it's okay. Yeah. So now the data modeling, what we say is if we have a different, now we'll have to look into the metadata. So what are the tables what we can think about? Okay, in this case, the first one will be, of course, it will be the user, right? The user table. So if I say the user, you know, I'll have its user ID, and then we'll have the name of the user ID, and then maybe an email, something like that, and maybe his creation date. Correct. So that these are going to be the fields in that table, and then second will be about photo, right?
Yes.
So if I have photo, what I'll have is first I'll have something like a photo ID, right? So when I have photo ID, then I will have which user has uploaded this photo. So I'll have a user ID for that, and then I'll have the path where is the photo is stored in other storage, the distributed storage, right? Yeah. And then I can say,
should we call it like a media table or something? Because if tomorrow we want to also store videos here, or we would have a different table for videos.
It can be called as a post.
So
I think we could just do a DDL rename, right? When the time comes.
No, I don't think that's a good call. We should always think about if you have any time a plan of a V2 of having videos, then naming things very specific is a bad practice. Renaming, yeah, databases is not like tables which span like terabytes is not simple.
Okay.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So, okay. So what you're saying in this, the path, what do you want to add?
Yeah, I wanted to say that, do we want to call this first the table as photo? We can call it like media, and then it will be with anything, and then it can be media ID.
Okay,
right?
so media, you will say we can even add videos instead of photos, right?
Yes, yes.
No problem. Yeah, makes sense. Media ID and then user ID, the path will be for the same and everything. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, are we having like followers, like list of followers which will be following the user?
Yeah, absolutely. So this will be a table, user follow, and you will have something like a user ID 1, because we just have to one-to-one relationship, something like that. Okay, for now I just want to make it more simpler. So one user following other user, we just keep on adding that in this table, and then we keep coming back to this table for a particular user and find all the follows whatever user is following. Correct. So this, if you look at the high level, this is the metadata. I don't think so. We need to have anything other
Should
than
we
that.
also add list of photo ID to the user?
List of photo ID to the
user. Yes.
Because we have this user ID as a foreign key in the media table.
Yeah.
But
So if I can take this user ID, go to this user follow, and actually extract all my follower, it will be okay.
Let's say if I want to go to a particular user and I want to see the all the photos uploaded by a particular user, how do we go about it?
Yeah, so I was actually saying like this, you just take its user ID, go to my user follow table, and then get all the user he is following. So
No, I'm asking if I want to go to a user and find out all the photos that particular user has
So in the
uploaded.
media table, you have the user ID. Suppose you want to look at all the posts for a particular user U1. You go into the media table and query using the user ID U1, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
User ID as a foreign key, right? which will take you to the media table, and then you can extract all the photos corresponding to it.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
So now what is being said is the photos, as we already discussed, they will be stored in the photos we will store in a distributed file storage like an SDFS, okay, or as Shashank said, S3 or something like that, correct? So and now we look at all this metadata. So it is always good to go with
One question. So is a photo being liked or not? Is it in scope of this?
no,
current
actually we
discussion?
said that for now we're just keeping all of that out of scope. We're just taking only these few of them.
Okay. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Trying to be very simple here. Yeah.
So user newsfeed also depends on users' interests, I guess. I mean, profile.
Yeah, that may be the ranking algorithm will take care of it, right? But we assume that we have all the data now, so we'll make it slightly simpler.
So a quick
Okay.
question, if someone can answer about S3, I always feel getting things from S3 adds latency, right? I know we have a lot of data and that makes sense to have S3, but do we see challenges here, having one more network hop?
No, but then you will be having CDNs also here, correct? So
What's
S3
that?
is
We'll
just
have
content delivery networks. So S3 is
Okay.
just for, like durability, correct?
Got it. Got it. Okay, thank you.
Main storage will be in S3. Again, you will have CDNs will push all the content to all the user close.
Yeah, by the way, if we are discussing about S3 and HDFS for photo storage, yeah, I think we cannot even use HDFS because in case of HDFS, each file takes some number of blocks, yeah, and block size is 64 or 128 megabytes, yeah, but our photos is very small. We will just post a space, yeah. Let's say that we have 1 kilobyte for photo, yeah, but we will take from our storage 100 megabyte, yeah. I don't think that we can use HDFS, and probably Interior will point this.
Really? Okay, so then what is the best you would think?
Yeah, I think it's S3, yeah, and we can also mention it that okay, HDFS is for a big file, yeah, for big file because one block is huge. It's 100 megabyte, yeah.
Makes sense. If actually we say media storage, if we have videos also, then HDFS makes sense, right? In that case, if the media is used.
Yeah, if your file size is big.
Huge. Okay, I agree. Yeah, that's a
Some
good
kind
point.
of a blob storage, not HDFS, maybe some kind of a blob storage.
But is
distributed.
S3 not almost like a blob storage?
S3 is blob storage only, no? Like you'll have a URL corresponding to each photo. It's a blob
I'm
storage.
just thinking louder.
Yeah, that's, I think.
So, okay, so now why we say is all the media storage we would actually instead of going the SQL way or the RDMS way, we don't need that much durability, right? So we can actually use NoSQL, right? So the reason is because I'm talking about this one metadata, right? So then now I'm talking about metadata storage.
I didn't follow. You mentioned that we don't need that level of durability. What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean in the sense we don't need those acid properties, right?
Oh, you mean we don't need the acid? Okay.
Yeah, and the reason is because if
durability is different, right?
Right. Anyway, you will get a durability with both of them for sure. We'll have to, or else then it's not worth doing that. So we'll use NoSQL. And the reason we usually go with NoSQL. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to discuss this thing. Why do we choose NoSQL? I thought SQL is basically when we want, there are two aspects. One is transaction and other is when we have a lot of relations. And in this case, I see that we do have relations, correct? For a particular user, his followers, and then the media.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. So in that case, even if we are using this tables, then we'll have to use a different way of storing that when we are doing a NoSQL. Okay. So frankly, I've not thought about that, but we don't want to do joins like when someone was talking about, having a user list in the users table or in the media table. you know, so or else you'll have to do a joins with the user follow and all that stuff. So agreed. But if we have all those schemas a part of our NoSQL and we have those tables already populated, then we can use the NoSQL way. And why? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I always feel we should have our queries before deciding what kind of database we want. It just helps us to know how the schema should look like, and also let us decide whether it's NoSQL or SQL if we know what are our query patterns.
Yeah, that's right. So, but
exactly, basically, like, you know, API design will help here to see whether we should go for a SQL or a NoSQL.
Right.
Like what kind of queries we'll get.
Right. So, okay. So if you just, the reason why we getting into this tables of metadata, we just want to do a quick calculation of what the metadata size will be. And based on that, we'll decide, okay, so what we will be doing with that. Right. So the only reason for going for the NoSQL way or not the RDBMS way would be for scaling, right? And that's why I said about NoSQL here. So now let us do a quick estimation of the data size, all this metadata size, because that is still pending, right? Estimation. And
but within NoSQL, my question is, user table is more of kind of a social graph, but media table is more like normal DB, denormalized form of storing the data, right? So we have two different requirements. One is kind of a graph store, right? That's because it's a user graph. I mean, and media is just a plain one. So do we have to, within NoSQL, like multiple data stores are there, right? For different purposes. Would that be needed here? Because users is mostly a social graph, right?
So one user following other user, and then you will have a graph of that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So if you say if we do it the SQL, we get all of that together, then okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So in that case, what do you want to?
I mean to say, like Facebook and all, normally
that,
they
right?
will have some graph DB and then a DB. No, I mean both are NoSQL stores, but a graph DB will have efficiency in getting queries for all these followers and other stuff, right? The friends, followers.
Yeah, then
you.
Right. So what he's trying to say is that, you know, the sharding won't be on a particular, like, you know, a single pattern. Here the sharding will happen on multiple patterns, and that will be the criteria to choose a NoSQL. Because we'll have redundant data. The same post might reside on different shards because we can query different shards based on the query pattern. You can get a query saying that give me all the posts for a particular user U1. In that case, first of all, you use consistent hashing and see in which shard the post of user U1 reside. You go into that shard, pull out the data. But then suppose someone is generating his timeline, and then we generate his timeline based on his interests, and his interests can be travel and science, correct? So in that case, we use consistent hashing and shard these topics and see which are the shards we need to query for, correct?
Yeah.
Or from different tables, you'll be fetching the information corresponding to that given user, right? In case of sharding, what you did, right?
Sharding, saying like based on what sharding partition keys we are using.
Based on what ID is.
Yeah, so and how we are sharding it. So we'll have to get all that data. That's right. Okay. So now if we go, what is the estimation what we'll be having here for first will if I go with this user table, so ID usually be 4 bytes, and for the name I'll take something like a 20, right? Okay, and then for what I said about email, right? Email is going to be something like 32 bytes. And then I say for the date, I'll be having 4 bytes. So this comes to around, okay, around 60, correct? So 60 bytes on this. And then if I go for Okay, so now we have 500 million users. Okay, so 500 million users, then it's going to be something like 500 million multiplied by 60. Okay, so this is going to be somewhere around 30 GB, correct? So this is for the user table. And then okay, I know we discussed a lot of stuff, but I'm just going by the older way of getting all the estimations. Just bear with me. So for the photo, it is going to be something what we have an ID that will be again 4 bytes. Then I will have sorry, it should be media, right? Okay. Okay, so the media should be something. The ID will be 4. Then I'm going to have the path. I will say 256. Okay, and then for the date, I'm just taking 4. So approximately, I'm going to have something like 260. Okay, 264. And ID. Okay, I just forgot about the user ID also here. So another 4 for
Question
that.
here, during a design interview, are we expected to have these sizes as well?
Well, I'm just trying to calculate how much metadata storage will require.
Oh,
okay, I'm just doing a brief of that. But it depends, we can always talk about it. And if time permits, and if the interviewer is more focused on that, he might be fine with that, or then we can just move on to something else, right? So, but I'm just going with the flow, whatever was there. Okay. So this 500 MB per day pointed up will have, right, 2 into 6. I'm just taking this approximate here in this case. Okay. Or maybe like it will be 0.5 GB per day. Right. So this is what I did. And for, if we say for 10 years, what is what we were discussing always. So it's going to be 0.5 into 365 and then multiplied by 10. Sorry. So multiplied by 10 is going to be somewhere around 1.8. I'm just an approximate figure. I have those over here. Okay. And then we have the last one, which is going to be user follow. And that was actually something not a big thing. It's just 8 bytes because 2 IDs only. And then we have this will be like 500 million. And so it's being the assumption is that each user will follow, say, we said 100, but we'll just take 500. For now, each user is following 500 users, the max. So it will be 500 million multiplied by 500 users each, and each will have 8 byte. So it will be coming around 1.8 TB, right? So, and then if I just total all of this stuff, it will be something around 30 GB, right? So plus 1.8 TB, and the other will be 1.8 will be something 3.6 and 3.7 or approximately, right? Because these are TBs and that one is GB. Okay, so it comes to around 3.7 or approximately 4, right? So 4 TB. Okay, with the buffer addition and everything. So this will be, okay, this will be huge even though, right? 4 TB also. Okay.
4 TB, that's like,
yes.
Yeah, it is huge, right?
Good amount.
Right.
So we would end up sharding, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll have to do that. So now if we, yeah, go ahead.
No, she told sharding, so I told on what key will you be sharding. I was
right. So yeah, okay. You have anything to talk about that sharding now?
So will it be based on the user ID or like location wise we'll shard it?
Okay, so if we okay, so if we talk about sharding, okay, because I would just wanted to quickly talk about the component design, what they said, because we'll go there. So what I'm saying is, and as it seems, because upload will be slower than the downloads, so we can have 2 different services, one for upload and other for the download. So at least those 2 functions will be separate. So we won't, the same service actually dealing with upload and download won't be efficient, right? Because uploading will take more time, and in case if the request was for read and it's going to have a impact on the latency, then it will be a bad user experience, right? So it is always
So-
better to have separate these two. Okay, go ahead.
So there is a way you can assign, like you can deploy the same service, but you can assign it different roles, right? So it will be the same code deployed. So you don't have to like have two different services running, right? Because what it says is a microservice, a true microservice should only have its own DB. And from what I understand, if we split these read and write services, they will be accessing one database, right?
Well, so why not different?
So there'll be a write and the read, and then you have to kind of keep them in sync or something, no? Because the
No, but-
write has to, so whatever a user is uploading, the other user should be able to see it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it has to be the same one, yeah.
Exactly. And if we have two services accessing one DB, it goes against the principle of microservices, right? So what we generally try to do when we have to split traffic, we provide different roles to the instances.
Okay.
So and that we, like my company currently does it on the different endpoints. So we have just one huge monolith, like the code base is same, but we have divided like different endpoints with different roles. So the traffic is split.
Okay. So as long as traffic is split, the read and write traffic is split, then we are good. So the way you are saying, if we just assign different roles, so they can handle each endpoint can handle it differently, right?
Yes. A
Okay.
different server instance will handle that request.
Makes sense.
What's the meaning of a role here for a server?
So for DevOps concept, so you have roles that you assign to your services.
That's good to know. Yeah, thank
So
you.
one is read, one is write.
So you
Yeah.
will have different endpoints, right? You can say my
Okay.
write endpoint will be served by these instances and my read will be with these instances.
Okay.
And how will you sync them? The one who has written will be able to read.
It's the same DB, right? The
DB.
instances still have the same database. Yeah.
But
But
only
then
if
we
someone
cannot
is
use the
writing.
same cache, or we can.
Only
Cache,
read needs, yeah, but cache depends on
only
your
for the read, right?
which
Endpoint.
cache you want to. If you're talking about the database cache, then you only need it for reads, right?
But then are we
Okay.
really pulling out the data from the database? I mean, won't it be, the response time will be too huge if we try picking out the data from database for the reads?
Database, you
We'll
can
have
always
a
have
hit
a
on the
cache.
database if it's not in the cache for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we'll have to actually deal with that caching also. Yeah, what you say is right.
No, yes.
Right?
I
So I
mean,
don't
we
think so. We
didn't
need to
reach
maintain
there
these
yet,
roles
right?
and things like that, because in this use case, it's kind of very read heavy, and the reads will never be going to the database, I think.
Yeah,
Never
for the read
before.
heavy system, we have to have almost 80% of the reads should go to the cache, correct?
Right.
Okay,
So
so we'll
Chavi,
discuss that when we come to the caching portion. Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, sorry for the interruption. So
Oh,
Chavi, I didn't understand about the roles when you
Yeah.
mentioned.
I mean, I
So,
don't think I can. Yeah, you
Chavi,
can ask your
just a
question.
minute.
Yeah.
Let me finish. So you mentioned about the roles. So are you talking about the roles being assigned to DB instances, or are we
No,
talking
no, to
about
the
roles
service
that are-
server, web server instances, not to DB instances.
Okay, so then if it is web server instances, and I'm just wondering how it helps in terms of scalability, because so how you would group it, like I didn't quite catch that, because we do
so
also have a
I
monolith, but I didn't come across such a scenario where you assign a role to
yeah,
a
so
web
this is,
server.
I think it will be really helpful if someone reads in detail. All I can say here in short is this: when you have so what problem our service like Monolith was having, that anytime any one endpoint was kind of loaded, the other endpoints suffered, right? Because there was now high latency on every other endpoint. So even if an endpoint which was probably called 10 times in a minute, even that had a high latency now because of that one endpoint, right? So what we did was we assigned. So when you write Terraform code for bringing up your instances, you can define a role attached to each kind of VPC. And what that role helps is, I don't know the internal since I'm not into DevOps much, but it also matches when your request comes in, that whether the role matches, like whether this endpoint is supposed to go to this server instance, right? And if not, I mean, that's how we kind of bifurcated the instances. So if one of the instances is too heavily used, we can always assign more instances to start with, and we can have better scaling up policies for it, right, than the other ones. Otherwise, all of our monolith used to have like 1,000 instances running all the time.
So you're saying that you want to replicate the endpoints, right? So different endpoints with two different roles.
Yes, exactly. It will be, yeah. So if for example, it's a read heavy, your write will never be a problem, or read will never be a problem if there are too many uploads at any point in a day, right? Like evening, people are free from their work, they start using your service more, right? Uploading more things, or during some Thanksgiving or Christmas, they are uploading more. So it won't impact your read, right?
So you're saying it's the same code base, but you just assign two different roles, and only those functionalities actually.
Yeah, you can basically, in layman term, divide your endpoints. Yeah.
Yeah, does Route 53 also does the same thing? Yeah.
Again,
But
I don't know
I
the
mean,
details.
the approach you said might not support read your own right? Because you write it and then you try to read it because
No,
it
it's
is
the
coming
same
from a
database,
replica.
right? I'm writing to the same DB, so nothing
Because
changes.
different instances are serving the data, right? Write is being served by different instances. Read is being served by different instances.
But they're web server instances, and they're reading from the same database, and it will be the same thing, right? So if you have the same server doing both the requests, that's
So at a data
see.
store level, it's all same. It's only that your routing request at the layer of read and write is differing in the service layer.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but we still have to do database replication and all that
Yes,
stuff,
yes,
right?
everything. Yeah, nothing on. Yeah, nothing changes there.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that was a good one. Thank you. So that is what we said about, and then now we just come to this one. So we talked about this one, right? We can actually divide those two services, and also we can do replication on the database side. So we can avoid single point failures. Now let's talk about the storage. And I think, Shashank, you were also saying about the data sharding, right? Okay. So if you want to do shard this data, right? So let's talk about that. And now, so how do we do the metadata sharding now? So one way will be, the first way usually they do is like based on, you have a partition based on user ID, right? So what will happen is if you have a specific user ID, okay, stored in a particular shard, per shard, if you store all the information related to that user ID, then it's more better latency wise and everything, correct? So, and also if we look at the way we have here, we are seeing 4 TB of this data. And then if you have 1 TB per shard, correct? In this case, if I just say some calculations, 1 TB, if I'm going to have per shard. So we might need approximately 4 shards. And also we can add some buffer, make it 10 to make our calculations much easier, right? And then we can, based on our user ID, Okay, if you want to look for this particular shard, we can just say modulo 10 and then get the shard number and all that stuff. Maybe a very easy way of doing it. Correct? So if we actually keep all the photos of the same user in one shard, then it will be more convenient. Okay. And
but let's say if the user initially was in India, now he moved to US. So will the, I mean, what is it? His data would be, I mean, stored in both the shards. And I mean, should we shard it based on the location? What I was saying, user ID plus location will take as a key, and based on that we want to shard. So that.
But the person viewing his picture may be anywhere, right? So I think the geography.
Right. How does the location matter? Right.
That would just be a replica, right? Of the same shards.
But unnecessary.
How does the user? No, but how does the user moving to any location affect the searching or the shard? You can tomorrow go to Australia or somewhere else, but then if your posts are saved by your user ID, so if you want to generate, I mean, if I want to search all the posts of Shashank, they will still go to the shard where the user ID Shashank is stored, correct? That is irrespective of the location.
Yeah, that's very good question. See, but in case people nowadays, what happens, some people stay in one place for long, like if someone stays in India for 5-10 years, he registers from India and then he moves for work in Australia, right? That also he stays for a sufficient amount of time. So at that time, still he's going to go back to that geolocation where he was registered. No,
but
right?
Wouldn't that be different? Geographic replica be different from the shards? Like the same shards would be.
Yeah, I agree. That's what, yeah. So shards will be something different. Yeah, the shards will be replicated across geography data, different data sets, right?
So it's not coupled to geography, right? The sharding.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, won't the latency be reduced? Let's say user ID is there. If we already know that this location has this user ID shard, so I won't search across all the shards, right? For that specific location only, I'll check. I mean, we'll get the query faster rather than doing exhaustive search on all the shards across the globe.
Well, right. Yeah, that is right. But frankly, I'm not very well. Okay, anyone can add. I just said something different. Maybe it's not right. Yeah. Sorry, I just interrupted your conversation. Go ahead.
So I mean, that was my issue. Like.
Okay.
One more thing.
So I have one doubt. Sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The user ID has big stability over there. Okay. It's a big stability, and then all the data goes to one shard only.
Your voice
is not better.
He's saying that a celebrity would make it non-uniform.
Oh, yeah.
His shard would be too big.
Okay, so let's discuss about the problems with this approach, right? What they usually say, because when we do sharding based on user ID, we have problems. The first is about the hot users, right, or maybe the celebrities. Okay, so then how do we handle it?
Better to shard it with the photo ID.
Okay, good.
Shard the data across the cluster.
Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, so
I have a doubt here, like, how does
if we do with the photo ID, when we are when a user is following another user, when he has to search all the photos uploaded, I mean, get it in the feed, he has to go and search, do a query in multiple charts, right? That would be like reading from multiple charts and then pulling the information. Whenever we are having a shard, I think that our query should go to that shard and then get all the data. That would be the right design, I feel.
So you are saying, so you are saying instead of sharding by user ID, we should do it by photo ID, is it?
No, if we do with the photo ID, then a user's photos can be distributed in multiple charts, right? Then we have to query multiple charts.
Right. Moreover, if you shard it by the photo ID, still we have the hot shard problem. Why? Because suppose a celebrity posts.
Yeah, that problem is there.
All the users will be going to that particular shard which has that photo ID, correct? So how does sharding based on the photo ID solve this hot shard problem?
Yeah, it doesn't solve.
Photo ID is random, I guess. So it just randomly distributes the data. Shard sizes will be same.
So I feel like whenever we are doing a shard, the query we are going to make only for a user has to go only to that shard. Is it not? Because I feel like users and their followers should be in a single shard, then the query would be more optimized.
But that will be very ideal scenario, So, but we'll still have to.
So someone
deal with some
initially
of the
mentioned
abnormalities.
that before actually jumping to that, what should be the sharding key? So what is your access pattern? You cannot solve all the problem in a generic way.
Right. So the access pattern here are two, like, there are normal users and the celebrities, and accordingly, the sharding will be done based on these two access patterns.
Now,
So
what
for
is the
normal
access pattern? How you
Right,
want to
but-
retrieve your data?
Are we
Right, so
viewing user
the
pages
access
more or
pattern-
newsfeed?
Sorry, I didn't get it. Come again.
Are we viewing a user's page often, like clicking on his name and viewing his page, or it's often just a newsfeed and search? Because user sharding will only help for viewing a single user's page.
No, how will that help? Suppose you have 5 friends, correct? Or if you are generating your own timeline. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Yeah, go ahead. We are all listening. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, suppose you are generating your own timeline and you have only 5 people, like, you are following. So now you have only 5 shards to go to, correct? If you are saving it based on the shard user ID, if you are sharding. But then if you are sharding based on the post ID, it can be a possibility that all the posts are residing on, say, thousands of shards, correct? Then you need to query those 1,000 shards. So for normal users, it's absolutely fine to shard based on the particular user ID. But then for celebrities, we get this hot shard problem when we shard based on a user ID. So I think in that case, it's better if we shard based on a particular post ID, because for celebrities, we do not say, give me the post of this particular celebrity which was posted by them 10 days ago, right? That goes tick by tick. So in that case, like, when they say we should shard it based on post ID, I think they basically refer it for the celebrity case.
So it should be in a hybrid way of doing it, you're saying.
Moreover, I was just reading one of the documents and they said that even this thing, like, sharding based on different users, like, a normal user and a celebrity, even that is not required, because when you generate your particular timeline, the photos and the posts and videos which you see, they are hardly, like, the maximum time limit is max 1 week. You do not go beyond a week, correct? And if you look at the calculations which you did, the calculation was around for 2 million posts, the size was 200 KB and the size, the total size was 400 GBs per day, correct? So for 7 days, how does it even come out to 7 4 2800 GBs, right?
So everything in cache. All the recent stuff is in cache.
Not even in cache, but then 1 week's post, we can say store them in 10 machines and then we can easily pull it out from there.
Okay.
Correct? Okay. Which will act as a cache. So we need not think about all these distribution, sharding and whatnot, correct?
Yeah.
Since it's basically that's kind of distributing it by time.
Yeah, that's right. So it's looking at the estimations, it's much more doable. We don't have to even worry about the sharding, right? That is what you're saying. No worries. But actually, anyway, we have to discuss about this, whatever the issues will be with the different type of sharding. And
right. So I mean, like, in the interview, we should always go with this approach. Like, first of all, tell about the sharding based on user ID and then the drawbacks. Then move to, say, location, then the drawbacks, then move to the post ID, then the drawbacks. And then in the end, come to it saying that, I think the best approach is like the maximum is 7 days timeline, correct? So in that case, I don't think so we even need to talk about these things. Best would be to use a cache or, like, some machines working all together.
Good. Yeah, no worries. Okay, so I'll just go with what I had did earlier, and then so the problems will be, as you said, one is the hot users. Okay, the second, what are the problems which we can see is when if we are sharding based on user ID, all users won't have the same amount of data, right? So there will be ununiform distribution of the load in this case, correct?
So sorry to interrupt. So till what time will continue? Because already it's 1.5 hours.
Okay. So just let me finish the sharding and then we will take the other stuff for the next one. Will that be
Okay.
fine? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just complete these two. So one is now I'm just writing on the drawbacks, right? So one will be the problem, as everyone knows about that, and we discussed just now. It's about the hot users, and the second will be the distribution will be ununiform of the data, of the whole data, because each user won't have the same amount of data, right? So ununiform distribution, low distribution, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so this will be one, and then what we can say is so if in some cases, as everyone is saying, if we won't always go to a single shard to pick up all the photos, so we'll go to multiple shards, right? So this will be another drawback. So it's not going to remain with the same shard again, right? So the third will be visit more than one shard. Okay, and then what are the other downside you can think about this approach?
So let's say based on user ID, you sharded and again it becomes so heavy that again you resharded it, right? So, I mean, nested sharding, we can have that scenario also, right?
Yeah, we have to reshard if the data in a shard is not fitting. Then I think resharding that particular part of a shard into multiple shards. And yeah, that would be one of the things.
But again, nested sharding will come with a cost of latency, right? Or because multi-indexing we have to do in that case, right? The hash map will contain this user is present in which shard, and then you will go to that shard and then check the whether the given user ID has which all photos.
Okay.
So yeah, normally I think resharding happens after a certain utilization point, I guess.
Yeah. So one drawback, what I was looking at here and what described in this working also is like if you are storing all of the user's photo on a single shard, and if that shard is down or it is not responding, so then we'll have some other issues, right?
Yeah, shard will have replica, right?
Yeah.
See,
so that will be
shard
replica,
will have
right?
a replica, and it can be a multi-leader shard because the way the photos are, mostly there won't be any conflicting writes.
Yeah.
So I think it can be still a multi-leader system. It might not be needed like a single leader write. Because any shard should be able to take up the write. I mean, any shard replica, I would say.
Okay. So that is not a problem you are trying to say. Okay.
What do you mean by conflicting? What do you mean by conflicting rights? Balaji mentioned this point.
Let's say, I mean, if you are in a system like online ordering, if the same user is going and writing the orders in two different replicas, then somewhere you have to merge it, right?
Or some kind
those orders.
Okay. It's like item potency or what? It's different from that.
No, it's not idempotency. If we have multi-leader, the problem is conflicting writes on multiple leaders, right? Because not
lost
one
write
person
problem.
is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I
it's not.
think in this app, Instagram, I think multiple writes are still okay. So, I mean, multi-leader system can still be there for shards, and each shard replica can take the write. It's not that only one shard is responsible for write and all the others are just replicas.
So you are saying multi-leader.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not only
if
about.
Someone has a conflicting thing, you can tell.
Yeah, it's not only about conflict resolution. Yeah, because when we have multiple leaders, we can write to one leader and read from another, and we will not be able to even read our own rights. Yeah, it should
read your own write. So whenever write happens, immediately that that affinity should be stored. Otherwise, read your own write cannot even happen in a single leader system, because a single leader writes, we write it, and then when we are trying to read, obviously we are not going to read from the the leader, right? It can be from the replica also. So whenever a write happens, there should be an affinity with the user, so that he only goes and reads for the later writes only from that particular shard or replica.
But yeah, that is right. But in single leader, why can't we go through cache then? We just write through cache, and then cache through write should not be a issue.
Yeah, cache is there, but I don't know, like in this kind of an image kind of a system, how much of a cache can be stored, right? And that's something that
But
I'm
we
not
are
sure.
talking more
Because
about
we are talking in
metadata.
GBs and RAM size is not that much, right?
But this is more about the metadata we are talking about, right? Because
Even Santosh, I mean, if you are thinking that if you are using the write through cache and you are thinking only one instance for the cache, so that's not
yeah, single bond of failure.
that's not possible. I mean, you can't say that it's a reliable system. So if you have multiple instances for the cache, then again you will be in the trap to make sure that these all instances of these cache are in sync.
Okay, so this was one way of doing it. Okay, and the other way would be sharding based on the media ID. Okay, so and how do we do it? We can actually generate use a different service to generate photo IDs. Okay, and then we have something like an auto incrementing, use something of sequence, so we can use some database instance to do that. Okay, a single database instance, we keep on writing it rows and get that auto increment and everything. So if we are using single instance, is bad for single point of failure, right? So we can use two instances, and then we can have some load balancer in front of that. So that is what we can do for using a photo ID, media ID as a in for the sharding for the partition.
Can we generate a photo ID by hashing the user ID and time?
Yeah, that is one way. User ID and time.
Yeah.
What advantage you will get, like at this particular time this photo was generated? Is it we already have a creation date for it? I think in the photo in the
But
no,
that
just for
that can
generating
also
a
be
random
done, right?
number.
But within a shard, the data can be stored in a time series way,
right?
Within a shard.
Okay, so no problem. I think we can take this next time because it's almost more than an hour, right? So we'll just park it here, and then we'll continue this discussion from here next time. Is it okay? We'll do that Monday.